Welcome back to the Torque Test channel. In the past year, we've tested over 240 different tools and recorded data from over 1,800 separate tests. We never accept any free tools or sponsorships, and many of these tools of the last year were brand new to the market, or just others were our first time strapping them to a new dyno. Links to all of them below. Astro Tools omitted to remove bias. Let's dive in. Number 10, in our number 10 spot, getting a full 10 out of 10 for effort and oomph, we have the DCK drill. Plenty of professional names coming up on this list, but this red rocket deserves the credit as it blasted off to the top spot of our not just Amazon drill ranking, but consumer bang for your buck cordless drills in general ranking. Topping brushless Harbor Freight and brushless Walmart Hart options by making a lot of torque and a lot of running watts, or basically the amount of sauce this service weapon has on standby. This brand is the US arm or other appendage of the brand Dongcheng, who is by all accounts like China's domestic power tool brand. In many countries like the Philippines or Indonesia, I'm told Dongcheng is seen as the red professional brand like we see Milwaukee. All for 60, 70 bucks as a kit, depending on if you're getting it with the hammer drill function or not. Testing has shown the included battery ain't shabby either, though doesn't cross over to any other brands, which would be a plus. Our viewers who have picked up these have all said good things. We'll have to buy some more models from the brand and see. Number 9, Metabo cordless grinders. The model number on this German-made Metabo grinder is as long as the tool is impressive. Everything about this angle grinder is just a step above everything else among the 14-15 models we've tested so far. Apparently a lot of Germans tuned into this episode and turned their noses up to this brand, calling it the low end in Germany. But man, if that's the case, what the heck do we have over here? The deep ocean trench end of options, I guess. German-made fine and classic flex, I'm sure, are pretty good too, but this 11-125 quick deserves some recognition. Second best ever in smoothness, just 12 meters per second squared, one off the record, and second overall in power, just living at the top here and ranked number 1 overall in 4.5-inch cordless angle grinders to this day. Battery placement is nice. The debris screen design is also nice. The disc change, vibration, speed under a load is massive and was record breaking. It's going to remove a lot of material and it gets a lot done on a battery charge. We're definitely going to have to pick up one of its bigger brothers in order to get that 15 amp equivalent model, since we don't have any of these smaller versions here in the States at that 15 amp level. I love this thing. Number 8, the Milwaukee M18 Forge battery. Now we try not to fixate too much on battery type and size around here because the truth is most people will get the job done with any battery in the 4 to 5 amp hour and above range on 20 volt tools. But people wanted to see the difference and see if it's worth the coin, and as much as we would have liked to roll our eyes at this latest pouch stacked cell introduction, it's the best of the bunch right now in our opinion, or at least by that I mean the largest improvement over the baseline of what any tool they already manufacture usually do. To be clear, it's still 6 amp hours, this Forge model. No way around that capacity reality. It might do things quicker and in turn, for example, loosen more bolts than another 6 amp hour high output, but it won't last as long on a charge as an 8 or 12 amp hour battery. But for its size, which is a bit smaller than the 6 amp hour high output, and weight, which is also a bit less, and power, which is equivalent to an HD 12.0, on tools like this where weight is already not fun, getting the same power for much less weight is a bonus. Getting more beans, as we found, than even HD 12.0 on high draw tools like this, that's a double win. Until DeWalt decides to make a 6 to 8 amp hour power stack that can compete, the voltage sag, amps discharge rate, and not obscene retail price tag compared to Red's other batteries is going to stay at the top among these for now. I mean, seriously, we had to load a backpack full of 12 amp hours in our own abomination in order to beat one of these. It's not a must-have, but I mean, I bought an extra one for myself, so it's a nice to have. Number 7, CC Gen 2 and Gen 3 brushless mid-torques and really affordable impacts in general. 2023 was a surprisingly good year for torque on the cheap when it comes to impacts. Inflation be damned. For high torques, skip Amazon altogether. We haven't found one high torque worth its weight from no-name brands. For those, head on over to Harbor Freight or wait for a sale over there. The $130 Bauer high torque doesn't suck, shockingly, and the newly revamped Gen 2 Hercules Ultra Torque for 180, 190 bucks, both of these hit above their price point. But for mid-torques, Amazon is actually not a bad place to start your search. The Gen 2 CC mid-torque in the low 100s as a kit, or the Gen 3 CC that makes even more power and is shorter for the mid to low 100s. It will upstage brands like Milwaukee and Rigid in the beans, but for half the price as a kit. These also take Makita LXT batteries, which is a plus, and the tool itself we found is decently hard to kill. Fairly clean track record so far on these, and they are used at least weekly. Number 6, the DeWalt 3-inch cutoff tool. Still at the top despite many challengers, this one is one of our most used tools, so much so that we have 3 in the fleet. Imagine an angle grinder shrunk down just enough so that you can use it one-handed with precision, but with monster power behind it, in this yellow one's case, to back that up. Bolts, brackets, steel wire, it's super handy when you have it within arm's reach. To a fabricator, sure, an angle grinder might be your scissors to a hairdresser, but this would be like your power clippers. Fast, one-handed, and a Dremel would be like your beard trimmer or something. That's small stuff only, no beans. For those of you orange aficionados, the Rigid is near just as good or better when using smaller batteries, and it has a smaller motor to not get in the way. So whatever your color, these things bring the sauce and aren't even $1 million. Worth every penny. Number 5, the Bosch ProFactor quote-unquote world's strongest drill. When you introduce a tool with that sort of eye-rolling title, you'd better back it up. They did. The flagpole of a handle on this tool is not compensating for anything. You'll need every bit of it if you want to max this drill out. And if things do get away from you, it has a power shutoff for anti-wrist breaking protections, as well as a few other features like a 90-degree and other angle presets that let you zero to a surface, then illuminate when you're at that desired angle. Pretty cool. Oh yeah, and it makes enough torque and watts to cement it atop our entire drill and hammer drill ranking, beating out a $1,000 Snap-on, a Flex with turbo and stacked lithium, and a Makita XGT along the way. This model and the Makita XGT are probably our favorite all-around can-do-anything drills. If these struggle to do what you're trying to do, you might be trying to do something stupid, which, hey, we're not pointing fingers with our contraptions over here. Number 4, this drill to impact wrench adapter we noticed from a TikTok video and some guy's garage sent to us from Canada to cut open and test for fun. Okay, so hear me out on this one. This thing is sweet. $40 or so, and now your current cordless drill is powerful mid/high torque levels of impacting. Now, it wasn't originally designed to be as powerful. They made these for cordless drills from the NiCad era, which is why you can't really find these anymore. But modern drills are more powerful and faster now, and hitting a hammer faster is the name of the game in our world to spice things up if the tool can keep up. And with this adjustable collar to increase spring tension so the tool can always keep up and be in its sweet spot, they even accidentally future-proof this thing for more powerful tools. We're talking about removing 500-600 foot-pounds. The only problem is they aren't exactly for sale anymore. So we started to prototype our own model, which suffered from design creep a bit with a steel case, brass bushings, the works, until this would be like a $100 tool if we could get it made. So we're currently back to the drawing board to try to design something spicier, but also in the same sort of vein as this guy, affordable enough that some people who need it occasionally wouldn't bother buying an Impact. You know, for lug nuts and other decently sized stuff, obviously won't be doing caliper bolts with this sort of length. I like it, you guys liked it, I think it should come back. Number 3, we're in the top 3 with the DeWalt 60-volt FlexVolt circular saw. This is a push as hard as you like, through as thick as you can cut, as fast as you're willing to, and it doesn't mind sort of saw. We did a basketball bracket-like head-to-head championship, and the DeWalt came out in the last bunch with some serious hitters like the M18 and Flex with their 10 amp hour stacked lithium, and it still did a number on all of them, 1540 watts at the dyno. That's equivalent to something akin to a 25 amp corded saw. Last week, a lot of you people asked us, why bother beefing up cordless tools or adding batteries with cables here and there when we might just as well use corded? Well, you're not going to find a brushless saw this powerful, this size, or this weight, making anywhere near that plugged into AC. Not to mention the sad state of corded impact wrenches and drivers. Yuck. Not that corded tools are bad, but brands seem to be pouring less and less R&D funds into those. Maybe what I liked about this saw the most, though, is it slapped everything, and it's on par in price with most of DeWalt's 20-volt 7¼ inch saws, because DeWalt's lines make no sense to anyone, but this time to your benefit. FlexVolt bringing the beans for less Benjamins, that's a revolution we can get behind. Number 2, the battle between first and second was a close one, but getting the silver this year is the Milwaukee Gen 3 High Torque. This is the one tool released this year I would not be surprised to see in most shops I walk into in 2024. As much as the Gen 2 has become an extension of a mechanic's right hand in much of the country, the new 2967 has the potential to be even more so by not just delivering punishing amounts of torque, like levels we've only broken into in the last couple months on the market at all, but doing so in a now even shorter package. How? Well, I'm not even sure, to be honest. Hammer size checks out, but this thing is flinging it around in a hurry and not bogging down at all. And they didn't take any shortcuts from what we can tell inside or in the hammer mechanism design this time, a real redemption story arc for the Red Team High Torque. This is one of the most impressive impacts we've come across, and you can just walk into any store and buy one over the counter. 10 years ago, that was not possible for most mechanics-focused tools. In some categories like hand tools, I'd say it still really isn't. But when it comes to cordless, man, we're there, and this is it. Smaller package, an insane torque increase, improved design. Yeah, it's going to be hard to beat, and is, without much explanation needed, the new yardstick future impacts will be compared to, like the last one was. And I feel getting close to this will now be seen as pretty legit. Time tells all truths, but if these prove to be reliable, it has the markings to be one of the GOATs. Number 1, this tool is number 1 this year, not because it's more practical, not because we think everyone should have it, but because it's the bazooka of half-inch impacts. You take a multi-billion-dollar company, the largest tool company in the world, in Stanley Black & Decker, and stuff some unchecked department into a windowless basement without oversight, and this is what you get. Hammers the size of a cannonball, 2-stage planetary gear reduction to be able to spin it up, even with that larger motor, and not only socket punishing levels of power, but it ramps up when it hits VTEC, stepping things up 4 seconds or so into a trigger pull, DeWalt saying if it ain't out by now, it deserves to die. Not everyone needs one of these, but the folks who do, us included, but not often with the options we have around here, this can save you a lot of time not messing around with other methods and tools. It's the never stop to ask if we should line of thinking wrapped up into a tool, and we're here for it. Up until a few months ago, you needed a 1-inch impact and $800+ to get this kind of performance. I like this trend, even if it does appear silly in a lot of ways. It's just awesome. In the past year and a half, a lot of moves from the yellow brand and a lot of great updates from Milwaukee as well, which we've come to expect, plus some diamonds in the rough and diamonds we figured would be impressive and were still more than we expected. Really appreciate all of you new and old viewers on the channel. You guys make this happen. Thanks for watching.